What's up guys, I'm Shane and this is Spare Change. Here on the channel, we discuss all things audio and video, like new movies and new AV equipment. So if it's your first time here, consider tapping that subscribe button for new weekly videos. And for review, we've got the Star Wars Prequel Trilogy on 4K Blu-ray. That's the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. I won't be reviewing the movies themselves, since I'm pretty sure you've seen them all. I'm just going to share with you my thoughts on the video and the audio quality. Now for a few tech specs. The Phantom Menace was shot on 35mm and some parts on digital. The other two were shot digitally at 1080p. They've all got 4K DIs. The Phantom Menace is rated PG, the other two are rated PG-13. Runtimes are 136 minutes, 142 minutes, and 140 minutes. Aspect ratio is 239:1, therefore they've all got black bars. So these movies have been out on 4K on Disney Plus for a few months now, and honestly, not much has changed. We'll start off with the Phantom Menace. This is almost the worst looking of the 9 movies. Although if you're a fan of having zero film grain, then you might actually like the way this one looks. Unfortunately, with all the digital noise reduction, most of it has that really smooth, waxy look. Those close-up shots where you'd normally see ultra-fine details, well, they're not in this movie. Of course, not every shot has this digitally clean appearance. There's some decent Blu-ray quality ones thrown in there, as well as some downright bad-looking ones. Most of those will be with digital effects. Some of those pod race scenes come to mind. Not only are they waxy looking, but they're also blurry. I'm sure if they kept any of the film grain intact, then there'd be a ton of detail, but I believe they had to get rid of any grain to match the CGI. Overall though, there is a touch more clarity over the regular Blu-ray. Edges are a little crisper, and textures do appear cleaner at times.
This is impossible!
As for HDR, we only get HDR10 rather than Dolby Vision found on the Disney Plus streams. This goes for all 9 movies as well. Again, it's not a big difference over the standard Blu-rays. I think there's a touch more saturation and slightly deeper blacks, but I did see some blown out highlights. I'd say the color palette was more natural, but I always felt it was more on the warm side. Now for Attack of the Clones, this one is also digitally clean and takes my top spot for the worst looking of the Skywalker saga. Again, you'll see waxy faces more so in this one than in the Phantom Menace. Just have a look at Padme. Looks like she's got too much foundation on. A lot of the backgrounds come off blurry or hazy, and I did notice some haloing around the bounty hunter in Chapter 7. Like I said in the digital review, I feel this was only marginally better than a good-looking Blu-ray. I'd say the image has a tighter feel and not as warm as the 1080p version, but at no point in time are you going to mistake this for a true 4K transfer. For HDR, I did see some overly hot highlights and blooming, but there's also some nice pop here and there. You won't be blinded or blown away, but the color is more controlled over the previous Blu-ray release. Black levels I thought were the weakest of the 3 and leaned more on the gray side, so contrast levels weren't all that impressive and lacked some of the depth as the other 2 movies. Now for Revenge of the Sith, I thought this one was clearly the best looking of the prequels. Black levels were deep and gave the image some improved depth and dimension over the previous 2 installments. Spectral highlights popped and got satisfyingly bright during the opening space sequence. Some of those explosions ran a little hot, but not as bad as the other 2. As for detail, again, it is a noticeable upgrade from the other movies. Facial features showed more detail, and the same for a lot of the background layers. There's still that DNR waxiness, so don't expect 4K clarity.
You're breaking my heart.
It also suffers from that green screen flatness from time to time, but it's not as bad as Attack of the Clones. I should also mention that unlike the digital streams, the subtitles are hard-coded in the movie itself, so they won't end up in the black bars, which is a good thing for projector owners. Audio on all 3 are in Dolby Atmos, and for me, this is what makes these new transfers worth owning. I think the pod race in Episode 1 was demo material back in the day, and now I'd say it's still demo-worthy today. Speaker-to-speaker movement is as good sounding as any new modern movie, and there's an ample amount of overhead effects that can make you feel like you're in the cockpit. Explosions can sound like they're moving from below, then around your head, and pod racers will zip from behind to in front of you seamlessly. Bass extension is some of the best and will dig very deep, especially when those engines first start up. Chapter 8's chase scene in Attack of the Clones is another standout. You'll clearly hear Obi-Wan dropping from above your head, and you'll hear the traffic move through every one of your speakers. That shot that comes from the right side of the room still sounds pretty cool today. And probably the best sounding scene for me is the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. The bass hits at the opening will give your subwoofers a serious workout. Once again, there's excellent movement through each one of your speakers, with ships flying back and forth and explosions whizzing by your head. There's even that cool moment when a buzz droid runs across Obi-Wan's cockpit. I thought there was an ample amount of Atmos height effects through all the movies, and bass hits hard with great extension. The musical score was also fantastic sounding, although as you move through each one of the movies, it became more layered and more dynamic. Volume-wise, I didn't have to crank the volume up. Everything was easy to hear, and dialogue was pretty clean too. So for audio, I'm gonna go Phantom Menace 8.4, Attack of the Clones 8.1, and Revenge of the Sith 8.9. They've all got great Atmos effects, great bass response, and great atmospherics. If there's a reason to pick any of these movies up, I'd say it's for the new Atmos mixes. For video, I'm gonna go Phantom Menace 7.3, Attack of the Clones 7.1, and Revenge of the Sith 7.6. No, they're not major upgrades over the 1080p versions or the digital streams. I'd say they're average at best. Image is a touch cleaner and tighter with nicer color. I highly doubt you're gonna break these out to impress your friends, but if you are a Star Wars fan, I think you kinda have to pick them up. So those are my thoughts on these 4K transfers. How do you guys think they look, and which episode is your favorite? Leave a comment and let us know. Now if you want to grab any of these movies, I'll leave some links for them in the video's description. As always guys, thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content and great deals on AV gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys again in the next one.